Hey everyone, this is Iceberg, and I'm really excited to finally get to show you some features that I've been working on for the past couple of weeks. So without further ado, let's check out Alternate Actors 1.1, which I have subtitled Play as Anyone or Anything, because now you can control a creature and take him as far from the player as you want. There's no limit to how far you can go from the player. Alright, but before we get into controlling animals, let's check out that original spell that we used in 1.0, where you can take control of any person and do anything they can. Now if you remember, in 1.0, there was a couple of extra steps that you had to do in order to take control of a female. But I've gotten rid of that in 1.1. So this first loading screen, I'm going to show you the full duration and the full duration when we revert to the original character, which is about 20 seconds for turning into somebody from a different gender. Now that loading screen can take longer if you've got a ton of items, or be shorter if you're doing the same gender, because it's a little more complicated with the different gender. Now here we are as Adriana, and you'll notice that my skin tone is that nice golden brown. It's not my pale white of the original player, so skin tone is fixed in this version. You notice I've got the name, I've got my new skills, level 20 instead of level 15 destruction. New items that Adriana has. So everything that was established in 1 is kept. It's still there, I've just added some new stuff. So again, we can talk with the original player, have them follow us if we like. We can use anything that you could use before, so here I see that I can use the smelter. But you'll notice that I'm not the only one using furniture. Here we have the player is using the grindstone. That's because the player now doesn't just stand there with their fists, but actually interacts with the environment, which was one of the requests that I got that I thought was really smart. So for example, say you're at your home and you'd like to adventure as your wife instead of your normal player. You can do that, and your player will mill about the home doing whatever it is your wife normally does. Another thing to notice is that I was able to fix the problem where tattoos would transfer to the person you were controlling. Now tattoos stay on the main character. Alright, so now let's check out the new MCM menu. We've got Travel with Creature, which means when you're done controlling your creature, you pop out right there instead of warping back. Revert on Death, if your controlled person dies, you go back to your main character. Dragonborn Follower, whether the main character follows you around or not. Dragonborn Sandbox, whether they interact with world objects. Lore Friendly, which I'll talk about later. And then some faces, which I'll also talk about later. So first let's look at Lore Friendly. Normally that's off, and that means that you have all of those overpowered spells you had in 1.0. However, when you turn it on, you lose those overpowered spells, which you can get back by turning it off again. However, when you turn those overpowered spells off, you now need to find new spells, which you can find by looking for spell tomes that are scattered all throughout the world. Of course, if you don't feel like searching in every nook and cranny, you can just buy them from people at the College of Winterhold, who are guaranteed to have one of each copy at least, plus whatever they have in the leveled lists. Alright, now let's have some fun. One of the most requested features that I had was, can you remember a couple of NPCs and then control them remotely? So choose which NPC and then control them. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's remember 4 NPCs. Now as you notice, as you're remembering people, it shows who you remembered and what slot they're in. So let's get one more person. How about Nazim?
Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't.
Alright, now that we've got all of these guys recorded, from anywhere, and we don't have to be in the same cell, I'm just doing that for convenience, but from anywhere in the world we can remote control them now. So let's go ahead and use our remote control spell. And let's do Nazim. Alright, so now we've got Nazim. So now I'm using the Lore Friendly Possess spell, which means I can only control them as long as my magicka lasts. Now Nazim has his own magicka, so he can cast spells and do whatever he likes. But as soon as my main character's magicka runs out, I'll be reverted back to my main character and kicked out of controlling Nazim. Now, while Nazim is running around looking for the Cloud District, I wanted to show you this. At any time through the MCM menu, you can see how much time you have left before your main character's magicka runs out. So I've got 70 seconds left. But I'm going to go ahead and revert anyway, to revert back to show you some other stuff. So by pressing that button in the MCM menu, you can revert at any time. Now I'm back at my main character, and because I was using the lore friendly version, you'll see that enter my main character, and there I only have 41 magicka left because I was using it up controlling it. Now, of course, if you just want to play other characters permanently and not worry about using magicka, just play the non-lore friendly version. It's whatever your preference is. I'm probably going to play with the non-lore friendly version most of the time myself. Alright, so now let's look at the most requested hands down feature. Can I change an NPC's face and make it permanent? Good news and bad news on this. The good news is their nose, their mouth, their eyes, their eyebrows, their hair, that can all be changed and will be remembered forever. However, changing the size of their nose or any other feature isn't remembered because I can't store that data right now. So you don't have full control, but you have a whole lot of control to make your NPCs look more like you'd like to see them. Alright, so let's finish up, and I'm naming her for name's sake, but that doesn't really matter because the name isn't saved. Now, as you saw, a dialogue popped up asking if I wanted to remember this face. I went ahead and said yes. You can also use the remember face spell. Alright, now remember that MCM menu that said faces on it that I said I'd talk about later? Let's check that out now. You can remember up to 10 NPCs' faces, and every NPC you remember will show up here, where you can forget their face to remember another's instead, and it'll reset next time you start the game, or just see who you're remembering, who you've changed. Now, as you see, I've warped back to the original player, and her hair is still red and that new hairstyle. That'll be saved across exiting and entering the game, or whatever you'd like to do. So now, before we finish, I have a couple more features I want to show you. The first is, hey, what if I control a bandit? Then will bandits think I'm a bandit and I can sneak through? Now in 1.1, you can. So I took control of this hapless bandit, snuck in, got a little lecture about not following and guarding my post like I should, and then came over and dropped the drawbridge down. So then, once I was able to revert to my main character, I was able to sneak through back in. You'll notice that rock trap was triggered by when I was playing as a bandit. But now, the bandits now see me, he's going to attack, but I can run across the bridge. Now, a second method is to take that guy from War Maidens that's real big and burly, and come in and fight with him. So you'll notice the bandits don't like me now. But what I'm going to do is get their aggro on me, and then revert to my main player and sneak, and you can see now they're fighting each other while I'm able to sneak through. Jump down and sneak around while they're busy. By the way, the guy from War Maidens won that fight, hands down. Okay, this is the last thing I want to leave you with. A lot of mods have made it so that you can control creatures, and they will attack whoever you're looking at or whoever you're normally in combat with. But what Alternate Actors 1.1 does that other mods doesn't is it gives you 3 buttons to use to attack as well. You've got left attack and right attack, which would be swinging your club and stomping with the giant, and then a special attack, which is for your shout button. So for the giant, he raises his club and hollers, and you can do that anytime you want to press the shout button. Now, almost every creature, I'm about 75% done right now, and so we'll have more in the next update. But 75% of creatures have their own 3 unique special attacks, plus the auto attacks that they already did. So it's actually surprisingly fun and very challenging. I didn't figure it would be, but to go through and smash villagers. You'll notice that my giant is losing a lot of health, but you're swinging and throwing people, and here I actually died. So I'm working on trying to become a better giant. But now at any time, if you press the space bar, you'll go back to your main character, which since I was a giant, I happen to be floating in the air, but you appear on that character if travel with characters there. And that's Alternate Actors 1.1. Check out the download links in the description. Thanks for watching, and happy modding!